Elon Musk is running a, quote, animal house. The SpaceX founder and his company being sued by 8 former employees who allege that they were illegally fired for raising concerns about gender discrimination and about sexual harassment. They were fired back in 2022 after their open letter criticizing Musk and urging the company to make some cultural changes. This lawsuit alleges that Musk trumpets himself as, quote, the leader to a brave new world of space travel, but runs his company in the dark ages, treating women as sexual objects to be evaluated on their bra size, bombarding the workplace with lewd sexual banter, and offering the reprise to those who challenge the animal house environment that if they don't like it, they can seek employment elsewhere.
Ooh, so that is already pretty bad. Regarding that bit about judging women based on their bra sizes, that was a reference to Musk saying that he wanted to start a university similar to MIT right here in Texas, but he would call it TITS. You guys know what that spells. So that's already pretty crude. But then the joke was that D's get degrees. You know what D's referred to. That's the bra cup size. So
thanks for watching. Our audience has helped build TYT into the media giant it is today. Together, we can accomplish anything. Support our work and join us at tyt.com/team.
Throughout the lawsuit, there are numerous instances of crude and juvenile jokes being made amongst colleagues while they're at work, many of those jokes coming at the expense of women and members of the LGBTQ community. But wait, there's more. According to reporting from the Wall Street Journal, there have been several inappropriate sexual encounters between Musk and female employees, including one instance where he allegedly asked a woman to have his babies. So in one case, I'm just going to run through all these and then we'll talk at the end. In one case, the story goes that Musk met a SpaceX intern roughly 10 years ago when she was just an engineering student. They met and they bonded over Star Wars because of course they did. And at some point they had kind of a casual relationship. Next thing she knew, Musk was flying her to meet him in Sicily where he was attending a conference by way of a first-class flight to London and then a private jet to Italy. By 2017, the woman was offered an executive level position. Naturally, this raised some red flags with other members of staff, considering how young and inexperienced she was. And the woman reports that she did have a difficult time assimilating in the role as she was not taken seriously by her peers, and understandably, she suffered from imposter syndrome. She acknowledges that the struggles she experienced with the job were separate from Musk himself, but Musk certainly did not help the situation. Apart from seemingly not taking an interest in her role with the company, he would blur some professional lines with her. That's a very nice way of saying it, which could also be interpreted as sexual harassment in the workplace. On one occasion, he texted her, "Just finished the Model 3 production call. It's gonna be hell for several more months. Are you coming over? If not, I will probably trank out, too stressed to sleep naturally." So when she didn't respond, he wrote her back, "Probably best if we don't see each other." Smooth move. Okay, so the woman eventually took a different role within the company where she had much less interaction with Musk directly, and she ended up leaving the company altogether in 2019. So another woman in 2013, she worked for SpaceX, quit, and then alleged that Musk had asked her to have his babies. And this is not difficult to believe considering Musk already had 11 children with 3 different women, one of whom is Siobhan Zillis, who works for him at SpaceX. According to the woman, once she turned down Musk's offer to birth his children, he made disparaging comments about her performance at work and denied her a raise. After getting a lawyer involved, the woman received an exit package worth over $1 million in stock and cash. And now for the third woman we're going to discuss. Well, first, SpaceX president and chief operating officer Gwynne Shotwell accused this third woman of having an affair with her husband. The woman denied the affair, took it all to HR, and Shotwell tried to have her fired. Unfortunately for Shotwell, Musk himself was getting closer to this woman at the time, so her job was safe. She then allegedly had an affair with himself. So, and she would often work 17-hour workdays with him, that's so much. I don't want to see any of my coworkers that much. The affair lasted a few weeks, and then once she ended it, she was out of the company. She signed an NDA in exchange for being paid $85,000 for unpaid work that she had already done. So in other words, she signed an NDA to get money that was already owed to her. So regarding the woman's story, Shotwell had this to say. She said, "The untruths, mischaracterizations, and revisionist history in your email paint a completely misleading narrative. I continue to be amazed by what this extraordinary group of people are achieving every day, even amidst all the forces acting against us. And Elon is one of the best humans I know." She thinks Elon Musk is one of the best people she knows. So, take her opinion with a massive grain of salt. SpaceX, for its part, maintains that it takes claims of sexual harassment and workplace misconduct very seriously. But according to the lawsuit, it has failed to do so time and time again. One last thing before I get your thoughts here. All of this came out at the same time that Tesla's shareholders were to vote on a massive compensation package that would pay Musk, who was already worth nearly $200 billion, $56 billion. As of earlier today, the shareholders approved just $46 billion for Musk. So, Cenk, the lawsuit mentioned at the top of the story, of course, it has not been tried yet, but the allegations didn't seem to deter shareholders much. I know they're two different companies, but it's the same guy at the top of them both. But this all illustrates such a sad reality for a lot of women in business, that it is now, as it has always been. What did you say earlier? Like the bad old days, still very much a boys' club, and very little matters as long as the company is making money. What do you think?
Yeah. So look, it's impossible to know if all allegations in the lawsuit are true. That's why you go to court and try to settle it. And so I've seen it go in both directions. So I always keep an open mind about lawsuits in general. Having said that, I want to know what the rules are, because the rules seem a little bit different. Like I remember, a couple of years back, I mean, people were getting canceled left and right. Aziz Ansari, still don't know what he did. That was wrong, but like that cost his career big time, etc. Meanwhile, Elon Musk is like, "Yo, baby, let me have your baby." I mean, again, if these allegations are true, and hey, why don't you come sleep with me, and I'll make you an executive. If these stories are true, like those are, so why isn't he canceled? Why? Like all of a sudden now, because times have changed a little bit, this is a tiny story. I think the Aziz Ansari story was larger than this one. I partly got canceled over a blog I wrote 20 years ago about a joke about myself. So now, I'm frustrated, man. Look, in the real world, there's a couple of things that are obvious here. So when you promote someone that young, potentially because you're sleeping with them, to an executive level position. You have any idea how hard it is to get to an executive level position at these massive companies? It'll take a lifetime for most people to do that. So when you promote her like that, it's not just, hey, are you discriminating against her or sexually harassing her because you're sleeping with her? Are you discriminating against other people at the company because you're sleeping with her? And then to have my babies person. So he says, why don't you have my baby? She says no. Now, did she earn the raise or did she not earn a raise? I don't know, and we'll never know. Because once you ask her to have your baby and she says no, well then, how's anybody ever going to know whether her job evaluations are correct or not? And that's why you don't do that. That's among them many, many reasons why you don't do outrageous over the top stuff like that. But in this country, I mean, I guess if you're rich enough and you're right-wing enough, people think you should be above the law. So I guess we're gonna find out soon if that's true or not.
Yeah, what do you think, Trey?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. That's what I was thinking too. This really shows the reality of like the sheer lack of accountability from the people at the very top of the pecking order, the most rich and powerful, because as Cenk alluded to, there was ostensibly this like big cultural shift in movement a few years ago, the Me Too movement, and some powerful people were taken down, and it was like, okay, it's been this way for so long, but it's not going to be this way anymore. But clearly, in a lot of places, it still very much is this way and hasn't changed, including some of the biggest corporations in this country, because he has no fear of being canceled or facing any repercussions whatsoever, and he's making that very clear. And until somehow that is proven incorrect, I mean, I don't expect his behavior to change at all. I mean, why would it? And Also, I know that he talks a lot about like people should be having a lot of babies, but he really walks the walk, man. Oh, walking down the hallway, asking if somebody wants to have his babies or whatever he's doing when he's already got like 10 babies by 7 women or whatever he said. Like, is this the richest guy on earth or one of my white trash cousins? You know what I mean? It's crazy. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like Elon Musk, his whole trajectory has been pretty insane to me, because I know it seems crazy now, but it wasn't that long ago where people were like, and I know he still has his cult of personality, but it wasn't that long ago where like the general perception of him was that he was like Tony Stark or something. He was literally in Iron Man 2, you know, like he was like that's who he was. And I feel like if he just stayed off, he's always been this guy. Don't misunderstand me, but I'm saying if he had like stayed off social media and hadn't went into the spotlight so much, I think he might still be perceived that way, instead of outing himself as this like, you know, lewd and lascivious dumbass that he really is, you know, all these years later. And it's a wild trajectory to look at in retrospect.
Yeah, and to the point that Cenk was making, when I was researching this story, it was actually kind of I had to specify what I was looking for with Elon Musk, because if I just Googled his name, the first thing that came up was the shareholder deal and the comp package and everything else about the sexual harassment claims that had been pushed down so far, because that story is like a day or two old and the shareholders thing happened today. And so, you know, one matters more than the other, it would appear, despite the fact that you're right, you know, many a man has been canceled over much, much, much less than this. But I wonder if part of it is just that we are tired and we don't expect much from these people anymore. So whenever the story came up, when I first saw it, I was like, of course he did that. And also, just to remind you guys, he had that one case where I think it was back in 2016. He supposedly felt up a woman on a plane, a flight attendant, and then he paid her $250,000, $250,000, I think, to, you know, just dismiss, get it all dismissed. So this isn't new behavior from him. And then we also see all the kinds of things that he tweets regularly. Those tweets did come up in the lawsuit, because they were, you know, those tweets would get repeated around the office, and in an office, they're inappropriate. And so they took it to the powers that be, and they said, you know, can Elon Musk, you know, separate his personal account from the business accounts and things like that? And they said, no, it's impossible to separate Elon Musk from SpaceX. And then that's where that went. And then, you know, the people involved in that lawsuit ended up getting fired. So that's where that ended.
Yeah, look, I remember some actors were getting canceled not because they did anything wrong, but because there was a power dynamic imbalance. You know what's a power dynamic imbalance? When the CEO of a giant company says, hey, you over there, why don't you have my baby? That's an imbalance. So curious to see how it plays out in the courts.
Yeah, the baby thing. It's like, you know, because also by all reports, he's not the best dad. You know, he's got all these kids, but he's got very strained relationships with them, and that bothers me. I just feel bad for little baby beep boop laser noise is what I'm saying, or whatever the kid's name is.
Boop boop laser noise. Yeah.
Now the funny thing is, I think Trey made that up, but now that you repeated it, Yasmin, I'm not even sure. That might be the name of one of his kids.
I mean, one of them is just, I don't know how to pronounce it. So
you can't pronounce it.
Yeah, that's the approximation I came up with.
Boop boop laser noise.
Thanks for watching. If you become a member, you get to watch all this ad-free, except for, of course, this ad. Still, hit the join button below.